ABC Action News. Now, your table is ready. Join 13 ABC's Jeff Smith with the decision makers of Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan. This is the Roundtable.
Hi, I'm Tony Geftis in for Jeff Smith for Roundtable this week, and I just want to take a moment to talk about Jeff because we've had a lot of questions coming in. What's happened to him? Where is he? How is he? He's doing fine. Let me just start off with that. But he did have kind of an emergency situation this week. He went to the hospital. Turned out he had to get his appendix removed, and they just kept him this week. For him here, and everybody wishes Jeff well at home. So now that that's taken care of, we wish you as well too, and they want to welcome our guests here. This is Dr. Robert Helmer and Dr. Janet Robinson, and both are with Lourdes University, and you both are going to be sharing the same title for a brief moment. You're going to intersect here, but
brief moment.
Dr. Helmer, you're the president of Lourdes, and you are now on your way to a bigger endeavor, another endeavor. And go ahead and tell us about your tenure there and where you're headed.
Well, you know, I'm finishing up my 10th year at Lourdes, and we'll be leaving within just about 36 hours to head to Baldwin-Wallace University. Well, soon to be Baldwin-Wallace University. Mm-hmm. It's still Baldwin-Wallace College until July 1st. And then on July 1st, it becomes a university. So I begin there as the president there.
Gotcha. And just like at Lourdes, it used to be a college, now it's a university.
It did.
So
yep.
You have that effect on,
Same.
on institutions. And Dr. Robinson, you've also been with Lourdes for a period of time, but you're going to be filling in as the interim president of the university.
That's correct.
And tell us what your capacity has been for the past 8 years.
I have been the chief academic officer. I've been the vice president for academic affairs, and then the title changed to provost. So I've worked with Bob for the last 8 years. I've been at the university for 13 years. And I'm going to miss him a lot, but I'm ready to take over.
Excellent. Well, Bob is really humble when you talk about his accomplishments, and we had a chance to chat a little bit yesterday, and you know, you keep saying this isn't just me, this is what the community has done, this is what the faculty has done, but really,
us. At Lourdes, it's us, it's the community.
There you go. So, but let's start with when you got on board as the interim and then became the president. You know, you've seen a lot of change in the last 9-10 years.
Oh, for sure.
Let's take us back to 2003. Tell us where we've started and where you've come.
Well, you know, when I started in January of '03 as the interim president at the time, Lourdes had had some declining enrollments and some deficit budgets. And so we were a much smaller institution and perhaps a bit more fragile than we are today. We had a little under 1,200 students. Most of them were working adults, which has always been a niche that Lourdes has and continues to fill in our community. But if you go from 1,200 mostly part-time students today, about 2,700, the majority are full-time students. We have about, what would you say, Janet, 330 graduate students in that mix. But in that mix today, there are 1,200 traditional age students straight out of high school. And that has been a huge shift for Lourdes over these years.
And how did you come about getting more students? I mean, not just you. How did we pull all this together, make the university expand?
Well, it wasn't just one thing. We did a lot of things over the years. Probably the most important thing I think we did was we came together, the faculty and staff came together and said, we are the Lourdes community with our students and for our students. And with that keen focus on mission and on student success, I think the students recognized that if they came to Lourdes, they really could succeed and they would get their bachelor's degree or their master's degree. And so combine that with our reduction in tuition several years ago now, but we continue to be, if not the lowest, one of the lowest priced tuitions in the state of Ohio for private colleges. So that piece, and then recently bringing in residence halls, intercollegiate athletics, all of that has really made Lourdes attractive to the high school students. And so we see today, we have students from 20 different states, from Puerto Rico, from Canada, coming to Lourdes to study, to live, to play sports, to be a part of the Lourdes community.
All right, and we'll get back to the financial aspect of it in just a second, but I know, as I mentioned, that you're very humble about this, so I cooked up a little something, just a quick look back over the last 6-7 years, and take a look. 2 years after Dr. Robert Helmer began serving as president at Lourdes, enrollment was way up. This is footage from the fall of 2005 when it was still known as Lourdes College. Back then, 1,800 students enrolled. That bested the previous enrollment record set more than a decade earlier in 1994 when Lourdes saw 1,600 students. Dr. Helmer acknowledged Lourdes would have to grow with its numbers to accommodate all of its incoming students and avoid overcrowding.
Oh, I think so. We're almost out of space now. But the Board of Trustees and the Sisters of St. Francis, we continue to find ways for new space to come to the college. We're considering the need for a new building that would have student services, classrooms, offices. We need to make sure that the personal attention we've been giving our students continues.
3 years later, in 2008, Dr. Helmer unveiled a 7-year strategic plan. It included Lourdes College transitioning to university status. That was after several semesters of record growth, with enrollment swelling to more than 2,000 students.
We've had 4 consecutive years of record enrollment growth every single semester. We are strong today. We've just completed a capital campaign that exceeded its goal by 50%. We built 2 new buildings and dedicated them, and now they're in use by over 2,200 students here at Lourdes College.
Then, in the fall of 2011, the name change became official. What was Lourdes College is now Lourdes University. The university welcomed students back to campus after summer break and accepted its first $1 million donation by an individual. All of it reflects an institution expanded under the leadership of Dr. Helmer and on track to become a premier center for culture and learning. And I hope that was all accurate, because that was all based on our reports here on 13 ABC. But also, I see you smiling and you're looking over at Dr. Helmer during that piece, because the two of you worked so closely together. And as you've been saying, it is a group effort. And I know that you have a lot of pride when you see the advancements that have been made as well. So maybe those bring back a lot of memories for you too.
Tony, I think she was smiling because my hair was getting grayer and grayer as the years went by. That's.
Well, I don't have to tell everyone why I'm smiling, but clearly we've had a wonderful tenure together, as leaders at the university, and watching the enrollment grow, watching faculty expand. When I started as the Vice President for Academic Affairs, we had 62 full-time faculty. Now we have 99. When we look over the last 8 years, half of those faculty have been hired in that length of time. And it used to be when we ran an ad for a new faculty person, we'd get local people who would apply. Now if we run an advertisement for a faculty to come, we might get 200 applications, and they want to come from all over the country.
That's true.
Last year we hired somebody from Georgia, somebody from Florida. People come from different places, and so we've seen the students grow, we've seen the faculty and staff grow, and it's good for Lourdes, it's good for the whole community.
And one of the ways to beef up the enrollment is to make sure that college is affordable, that the university is affordable. And just this past week, we saw a donation come from Fifth Third Bank. It was $100,000. We've got footage of that as well. And it was a grant, so it's actually a scholarship that's going to renew itself as donations that the students would then repay. So this would regenerate over time. And just to make sure that students know, typically when you hear, private university, you think big bills. This is going to be something that I might not be able to afford. But one of the key aspects that we've heard over the last 10 years is that Lourdes is affordable, and you're driving that home. How do you continue to let people know that, hey, you can go to college here?
We ask people to come to our campus and visit. We ask them to come and meet with our financial aid office. We try to make them aware of every scholarship opportunity there is so that they have a chance to have their own dream and we try to help them dream bigger. We are campaigning to get endowment dollars so that we will have more scholarships to offer students. We work really hard on our operational budgets to keep them as low as we can so that we don't have to raise the tuition more than we think is affordable from the group of students who are going to apply.
Sure, and it's a national topic as well.
It sure is.
You've heard the president saying multiple times that college affordability is one of the key aspects of beefing up the educational institutions of the country. So on that note, we're going to talk about what's next for Lourdes. And I know that you've done a tremendous job generating all the funding and getting all the public relations out there as well. But and now that you're leaving, but you're leaving physically, but in spirit you'll be around as well.
Forever.
Always a cheerleader. But you know, the next year, while you're the interim there, what are you looking ahead at doing, and maybe some of the new ideas that you can bring to the table?
You know, we have several new things that are going to happen in academics this next year. As we become a more traditional university and we have more traditional age students come, we are going to offer a course, a Lourdes University First Experience, so that every student that comes will take a 3-credit course. They're going to learn what it's like to be a university student. Financial literacy is part of that, being part of the community is part of that, study skills, trying to get to know other students in a unique way. And that's going to take place starting this August. We got a grant from Title III to look at retaining students, and one of the things that typically universities do is to try and get that freshman class well suited, you know, to move on and to be successful. So that's going to start. We're going to have a term called J-term or J-session, which means a January term, and this is going to start in January of 13. So we're going to have some courses that are offered that if the student wants to come back to school on January 2nd instead of like January 18th, in a 2-week period of time they can take a 3-credit course, and that can be part of their spring term. So they might do it because it might be something fun. You know, eventually it could be like a global learning kind of, you know, maybe we'll take people, you know, to France during that 2 weeks. It won't be in 2013, but we are going to do some courses that we think a student might want to do just for interest, or they might want to do it so they have a lighter load, you know, in the spring semester.
Sure.
So that's one of our initiatives. We are going to start offering more global initiatives. We have a group of students, we hope in June of 13 we'll be traveling to Ireland with 2 of our professors. You know, that's on the horizon. This, we have a graduate program. We have a master's in business administration that was offered for the first time this year. They really are just finishing up this week. And last week they were in London. They met with the Olympic management team over there. It's a 1-year full-time program. We'll be taking our 2nd class this August. We're looking at maybe having a part-time MBA program. That's kind of on the horizon in terms of looking at enhancing that. You know, there's some other programs that we're not quite ready to say, you know.
That's fine.
But come back to to us in the fall.
But what you're getting at is that you have to think outside the box now and academically just expand your range, because it's changing. A lot of the, you know, not only non-traditional students, but the way people and children and students are learning nowadays is changing. So you've got to come up with new ways to integrate that all, and not only academics but athletics, and we'll touch on that in just a moment. Stay with us. Thanks for tuning in to Jeff Smith's Roundtable.